I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and yes, folks, we are in McAllen, Texas. Feels good to be in Texas, doesn't it?
It feels good to be in McAllen, Texas.
Okay.
I'll say that for the moment.
For the moment.
Right.
All right. Well,
I'm really getting to love McAllen, I have to say.
All right. Well, we love talking to this next guy. We get a chance to do this kind of annually.
Yeah. Awesome.
At every Zoho day, regardless of where it is, because we've done it in India, we've done it in Austin, we're doing it now in McAllen. But it's always a pleasure to have Sridhar Vembu, who is the co-founder and CEO of Zoho.
Thank you for coming here to McAllen all the way. Thank you.
It's beyond our pleasure is the best way to put it. So actually, we might as well, because we have not a lot of time, so get right into it. So you, throughout the entire session, every time you've spoken, you've situated not just Zoho, but you've kind of looked at the global picture in multiple ways. So given that a lot of people who are going to hear this are not those people who are here, can you kind of recapitulate your thinking on where we are? I'm using very, very highfalutin words, right? Well, we're dealing with an intellectual. So.
Oh, come on, Paul, please. We call it maybe practical experimental philosophy a little bit. So we, at the first level, as I said, we are a deep tech R&D driven company, research and development. It's sort of like the glory days of Bell Labs. We want to bring that back in a way. That's like the first order of business. But connected to revival of and creating opportunity in communities that have not had it, McAllen being an example. So that's like the second leg to the strategy. And the third is along the way, this is the experimental economics part come in. We really have an economic system where the production, which is driven by technology and automation, has decoupled from consumption, which is now a lot of it is driven by debt and political economy choices, UBI being one of that people talk now. We have to connect them back. We cannot have that separation between production and consumption. And the pandemic taught us the value of resilience, but we seem to be forgetting those lessons. I mean, even though like after the pandemic passed, and I think a lot of people, they don't talk about that resilience.
And it's not like the pandemic has been like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
We're already forgetting the lessons that we learned.
Exactly, forgetting lessons. So those are the three legs to it. So, and only in that sort of experimental flavor, we need the ability and the capacity to perform these experiments, whether it's in education, like the Zoho schools, and also the Kalaivani school that we do, like for younger children. And so for example, the purpose of our education is to create self-confident, self-reliant individuals, citizens. So what does it amount to? Practically, when you come out of school at 18, you have to know basics about how the household technologies work. Today, it is a shock that nobody knows anything about how your refrigerator works, how your lighting works, how your electricity works, how your toilets work, any of that. And then you go through all of education. So why that is important is that gives you that self-reliant attitude. Hey, I can fix these things. To me, that the fact that I can fix these things, I can improve these things, that's the fundamental attitude we want to endow young children. And that attitude then comes into the economic realm, creates some more of a self-reliant, hardy citizens that can stand on their own 2 feet. So that's the whole approach to it.
So what were some of the most important learnings from this last year or so with McAllen, bringing transnational localism here?
Yeah. So we went from 0 now to about 50 to 60 people now and growing rapidly. And we are creating a diverse mix of skills. We started out with like support and sales. Now we have sales engineers. We are even training a couple of people in sort of custom solutions, rapid turnaround, development, all that. Some people are coming here to train, and some of the folks here are going to India for training, all of that. It's happening now. So a lot of this interconnections are happening now. And I'm very happy to see this because it's, culturally we have come to a place where we didn't know anything about McAllen before. And to see that the model working here, showing promising signs, is very gratifying to see that. And the whole Rio Grande Valley, it's about 1.4 million people. It's very similar to the region I'm from. It's about 1.4 million people, which is about the population of an Estonia. the nation of Estonia.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, Yeah. So how do you create a viable economic future for Rio Grande Valley? That's the kind of question I think about. Not just how do we make money here,
Right.
but how do we, because we won't make money long term if this place is not viable, this place is not vibrant. So that's
The other thing, though, I noticed that you do, and seems to be a fundamental principle with transnational localism, it's not like you just sort of, you open an office and you train people. You get deeply involved with the town or city itself.
Yeah.
And that was evidenced, obviously, by the mayor addressing us earlier and a few days ago and so on. Can you dig into that part? Because it's a real difference in the way most people even think about expansion and growth.
Yeah, the mayor and the city council, they all are extremely supportive. They want us here. They want these kind of jobs. They want to put this region on the global map, all of that. So we are very happy. And they also see us. In fact, the governor of Texas went to India just like last week.
Wow.
To drum up Indian investment into Texas. And we are already here, so in Rio Grande Valley. So, and because of us, other Indian companies may choose to locate here. They say, hey, Zoho has gone there. There must be some good stuff there, so let's go there too. So we are going to pull in some investment that way. So that's why I think all of this is the fact that there's a very supportive ecosystem here. And it's also, the other thing is, it's not too small, it's not too large. It's a kind of right size for us.
Right.
But I don't like these gigantic cities. There's like something I can't wrap my head around. Too many layers of government, all that. This is very manageable here. That's what I like. And they respond to email.
Well, there it is. So
That's their first criteria.
Criteria,
Did
right?
they answer our emails?
Exactly.
It's obvious the impact that Zoho has had on McAllen, from just the last couple of days. But what has the impact of McAllen had on you and Zoho?
Yeah. We definitely are discovering sort of new cultures. And this is a very unique part of the US. It's a very, sort of the Mexican culture is very prevalent here. The Spanish language, all that.
Yeah.
So our employees come here and they discover that. This is not the America they're normally used to, right? This is a very different America here. So that's a big deal. And even for our US employees, Americans, it's coming here is like a eye-opener. Oh, these places exist here in our country. Right?
I've never been in a place
exactly.
like this.
Yeah. The whole of southern border of Texas is like that. A lot of culture is
The Rio
like
Grande.
Rio Grande
Yeah,
Valley.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Given that, so here's the thing. I mean, if you're looking at conversations that were going on among all these analysts here, one of the things that seems to be relatively uniform is that Zoho itself is an entirely unique company, meaning it's not really reproducible the same way you are, the way you are. But the interesting thing is, and I'd like to hear what your take is, there are clearly, though, things to learn from Zoho, even though the company itself is not reproducible. What are those things that you can learn from
I'm
Zoho?
actually a little sad to hear that because there's nothing we do that's all that, like it's not like quantum mechanics or something that we're doing here. I mean, just a little bit, it's simple stuff. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. I mean,
We're going to SpaceX tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You'll see rocket science then.
Right? You'll see real rocket science there. But, to an extent, that's not actually coming from, it's difficult to do it. It's more like our ways of thought preclude us from acting these ways. That's all. It's more a mental barrier than any real barrier.
Well, let me give you an example, and this will also maybe spark some lessons people can learn. A few years ago, when I was talking with Raju, we were talking about scaling the company. And I told him at the time, I said, it's really hard to maintain your culture if you scale this company, because there's going to be a lot of people who are not 22 years in, and there are going to be a large number of them. And, cultures almost routinely change. Yeah. Now, in your case, however, you've managed to retain, it's an arbitrary number here, but 98% of your culture anyway, which is basically...
Even at like a size like 15,000 plus employees.
That's what I mean.
We could do it at 1,500. Now it's 10x bigger. We have retained it by a lot.
And you've retained 90, it's very close to the full culture. A few little changes here and there. You have to make them. But That's astounding.
Yeah.
But the question is, how do you teach that to somebody else who has a good culture?
So this is actually more than teaching. I just give very simple advice. First, we have question your assumptions. So today, management dogma is metrics driven, measure and manage. A lot of software. In fact, I joke about the HCM, right? What is HCM today? How do we poke and prod humans to produce all these dashboards? Like every day, have you closed three tickets today, 4 of these, what they call function points or action items, whatever. That approach to management, it gives you an illusion of control. Why management likes it is you are sitting in front of these dashboards, everything is running smoothly. It's like you are in control of the ship kind of thing. But really, meanwhile, the person on the ground, in the trenches, is not feeling good. And that's why the turnover, the churn happens. And then the lack of morale. Pervasively, this is common in so many businesses. The rank and file employee is not very motivated. They don't feel inspired. And then there's the other part, right? I mean, you see a layoff, and then you see a CEO getting a $100 million golden parachute or whatever, right? And sometimes the CEO gets fired for bad performance. They still took $50 million.
Yeah.
How does it go with the rank and file? How is it going to endear that company to their own employees? So that's why I said this is not rocket science. This is like you have to be aware of what your people are feeling. You have to connect with their full human being. Not just, that's why I always say I don't like the word professional, because that's like very bloodless.
Yeah.
It's like you bring only your skills, bundle of skills, you remove all the human personality.
Yeah.
That's what that word means to me. And that's what organizations seem to require. But we say bring your whole person here, and we want to address that person. We want to address what is your kind of a spiritual need too, in a way.
Right.
The word is not probably appropriate here, but it's just that's how I think about it.
No, it actually is appropriate.
Yeah.
So, what percentage of your day did you say you spend like just hands down on tech?
At least about 60, 70% on a given week. It could be sometimes 100%.
Wow.
Most of my time on it. And like this week, I've not done anything. I'm here, right? Next week, I'll probably get back to it. I also have other duties. So now I'm a public speaker now in a lot of events. Like I do a lot of speaking, and I mean it's just what to do. In my language, we have a proverb: if you are put on a costume like a dog, you have to bark. I put on this costume, I have to bark.
So one of the hottest things in tech right now is the Apple, what do they call it? Vision
Pro.
What do you think? Have you tried that out yet?
We just have it on order. It should be coming.
Okay.
I think it should be in office in the next few days. Raju is, of course,
Yeah,
ordered couple, one for me and one for him,
Right.
to try it out. And our engineers already are coding for it. I haven't tried it yet, so I can't speak to it, but I read some really good reviews from non-technical journalists.
Okay.
That's the important part, not the tech journalist crowd. They said it's highly immersive, to the point where you are, after taking it off, you feel a little disappointed in reality.
Wow.
Because it's so...
I'm not sure that's great.
That's what it said. That's what it said.
So it's really immersive. You
So
really
immersive,
okay.
yeah. Like, and you are, for example, it talked about a crystal lake or somewhere. Like you are really in it. You're seeing the ripples in the water, and you're surrounded by it, the scenery and the sounds, all that. And that's the kind of... So definitely I can see business use cases for it now.
I was going to ask, when you think
manufacturing,
about that,
yeah.
how do you envision?
Very prosaic, like maintenance, mechanics, all that. It can tell you, like, feed, hey, look at this part, look at this. There might be, something could be processing the same image you are processing, and tell you, look at this, kind of things. So it could be very helpful for many kind of job surgeons, all of that, because it is a pass-through, and you can actually also project some, additional information, whatnot. So obviously, it's very early days, but I do see that this has tremendous potential. There are, I am not a very big, I don't get excited about every technology out there. Like I never got excited about crypto. We never got into
either.
it. Yeah.
I
don't have an account. Yeah.
I also
it's like,
was ridiculous.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So, and similarly, LLMs, I'm very, judicious about where we applied, what we applied for, what are the privacy implications, all that. So we are not like head-on kills, but this one seems real. So we have to look into it.
Let me throw it to the exact opposite end of the technology scale. Have you looked? I think it came out. What was the last big tech conference again? The consumer tech conference.
CES?
CES. Do you see the rabbit that came out of that? The rabbit.
Oh, that little device.
This is a personal assistant kind of device. I'll tell you what. Since you can't comment on it because you haven't seen it, go look at it.
Okay.
They sold 40,000 units the first hour.
Wow.
Right. And they're on. I ordered.
Who
one.
makes it?
It's a company. The company is called? It's got a funny name. I can't think of it.
The device is called the Rabbit.
The device is called a Rabbit. And
What does it do?
Well, take everything you do with every watch and everything, and then combine it into an actual personal assistant that also works 20 times faster, has much bigger scope and scale, and basically can literally take care of your chores, rather than just say, "Oh, you have a chore to do." It can actually take care of the chore. It can manage things.
Wow.
It's some young guy created it. It got huge hype coming out of the thing.
Yeah.
I went and watched it and looked at the video. It's amazing. And I ordered. It's like $200.
Okay, $200.
Yeah, it's designed to be ubiquitous consumer tech.
Where is it based? You know?
Yeah, Singapore. I think.
Singapore.
Singapore. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So take a look, and I will come
Send
back
them a
to you
link.
and ask you.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
send you the link.
Please.
I will send you the link to
What excites you now, like right now, today? What's
As I said, basically, I'm working on this technical problems linked to software correctness, programmer productivity, all of that. That is really exciting because I think we can steeply raise the productivity. And that's because the average programmer, like, if you see how the sausage is made, 80% of the time, it goes into like very mundane stuff that can be automated out. It's not, it's boring stuff. It's only, software development only looks kind of glamorous. There's a lot of very mundane work that's not actually, systems can do a better job on that. Tools can do a better job on that. That's where I spend a lot of my own time, because it's also fundamental to our business, but I see it as a way to sort of revolutionize software development. That's what excites me personally. Along the way, that also applies to all the AI stuff, because there are other possibilities in AI. So in other words, there's a question about LLMs, which is this going to take us all the way to full whatever AGI, or do we need some other scientific breakthrough that we don't know yet? I'm kind of in the 60% in the second camp.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't believe that this is it. I believe that, but I'm not going to tell you that I'm 100% sold on that idea, but I'm 60% sold that we have problems that are more fundamental. So we need a scientific breakthrough.
I will say, on the basis of, let's say, the 40%, you guys have come a very long way in your AI, both thinking and your output, because you're thinking of multi-side models,
yeah,
and
levels.
that makes a big difference. I'm honestly, personally, very tired of hearing people saying LLMs solve everything.
Everything, yeah,
you are on the money with specificity and size.
But the interesting part is
Contextual intelligence.
Yeah.
That's our buzzword, CI.
those 4 levels. But then the other part of it is you talk about the interaction between the models, and I thought that was.
Yeah.
I don't hear. I've heard of. Well, I haven't heard of the narrow models, but I have heard of
mid-size.
Yeah, so we've heard of like, at least 2 of the 4. Now there's the 4, but then you throw in the interactions between the levels. I thought that's one.
That's also a way to keep them honest. If one model makes a mistake, the other model maybe can act like a kind of a layer to check.
Yeah.
So a lot of these ideas. So 40% of me thinks those are all enough to get it all the way. 60%, I think there's some scientific breakthrough still lacking. Jury's out. I don't know.
So I do know we're kind of running low on time, but we have to do an annual check with you. So how many minutes can you now stand on your head?
My peak is 12 minutes.
Whoa!
minutes.
That's up 3 minutes
On a
from your
daily
peak
basis,
last year.
daily basis, I do about 10 to 11 minutes. I keep count.
Okay, do you have an ultimate aim for minutes on your head?
No, I think I'll stick with
Let it
about
roll.
12.
Let your head roll.
Now you've got to get Raju to do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah,
Actually,
Raju Vijay
it took
too.
me a couple of months to just do it first time. First time I could last 5 seconds.
I
10
remember by the
seconds.
first time we talked to you, you were up to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Now you've
about-
doubled it.
Doubled it, yeah.
So next
I'm
year,
going to leave it like that.
I was going to say next year it's going to be 24 minutes.
Right.
I
point
don't
it said-
believe in this eternal growth.
And then the final time we interview you, you'll literally walk in.
We'll do the interview. No, we'll do the interview all on our
upside
end.
down. Right.
Anyway, this has been, as usual, it's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
You're the
Thank you.
best.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
So, on behalf of Sridhar Vembu, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and we are still enjoying McAllen, but we'll be leaving. You'll see us.
We'll be
on
enjoying
our
the
own
McAllen
tubes.
Scotch later.
Yeah, we'll be doing our usual thing next week, but it's been a great week here.
Yes, it has.
Thank you. Thank you.